What's up, Taiwan? I'm Sandy Chi with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan has launched its first domestically built submarine in the port city of Kaohsiung. It's part of an effort to boost the country's domestic defense industry and protect its surrounding waters. Our reporter Jaime Ocon was there to see it happen.
Taiwan unveils its first ever domestically made submarine. After 7 years of development, this comes as a milestone in Taiwan's self-defense capabilities and was celebrated by ceremonially launching the new vessel. President Tsai Ing-wen says the achievement defied expectations.
将会永远地记住这一天。过去潜舰国造被认为是不可能的任务，但今天由国人自己设计打造的潜舰，就在大家的眼前，我们做到了。
The Indigenous Defense Submarine, or IDS program, has been in the works since 2016. Before, Taiwan had tried to purchase submarines from the U.S., but with little success. Other countries also feared sparking a reaction from China if they sold a sub directly to Taiwan. So over the past few years, U.S. and U.K. weapons contractors have helped Taiwan design its own submarine in secret.
Taiwan has procured a lot from the United States, the UK, and others, but it has also gained a lot of know-how just from bending the steel and putting a submarine together. And hopefully that also can help push Taiwan's domestic shipbuilding capability forward.
Taiwan has been looking to enhance its domestic defense capabilities and move its reliance away from other countries for its security. This submarine is the first of a fleet of 8 that will monitor and defend against Chinese military activity, which recently saw record highs. Earlier this month, China sent a record 20 naval ships around Taiwan in one day. And Beijing has conducted exercises simulating a naval blockade of the country's main island. It's military activity like this which prompted Taiwan to start developing its own subs. The head of the submarine program says that these vessels would be used to prevent China's access to waters outside the so-called First Island chain and keep China from encircling the country. The submarines would operate in deeper waters towards the east and boost the ability to break a blockade by China, which has the world's largest navy. Protected by deep waters, these submarines and their advanced torpedoes would aim to destroy high-priority ships like China's aircraft carriers.
I mean, there is no doubt that having submarines secretly operating in and around those waters, that is going to make China second and third guess its planning.
Taiwan has a relatively small defense budget, so these submarines are a huge investment. The first submarine costs over $1.5 billion US, and the entire program is worth up to $16 billion. Some analysts are worried that this could mean spending too much on the wrong systems.
You can still come up with clever ways that they could be useful, but then you have to ask yourself the question, what's the opportunity cost? For the cost of a submarine, what else could I have purchased that might have given me a lot more when it comes to being able to delay, degrade, and deny that invasion? And the answer is quite a bit.
But local security analysts disagree and say that submarines are vital to protecting the surrounding waters.
潜水舰它在就是面对中国威胁台湾的时候，它可以在巴士海峡跟宫古海峡就是封锁住解放军的这个海军进入台湾的东部。
While the first submarine is ready, it won't officially enter service until 2024. But the hope is that this new vessel and the ones that follow will prove to be a valuable investment in defending Taiwan's waters. Joseph Wu and Jaime Ocon in Kaohsiung City for TaiwanPlus.
Firefighters have protested in front of the cabinet building in Taipei. The rescue workers are pushing to form a union after a factory explosion killed 4 firefighters last week. They blame the deaths on breaches of safety rules. John Van Triest reports.
Outside the cabinet building, simmering anger boils over. These firefighters say it's time for the governments to get serious about protecting them. At the top of their list of demands, the right to form a union with a say in working conditions. Current law says that can't happen, and the rescue workers want that law to change here and now. But the officials sent out to meet them say there are procedures and proper channels to go through first. It hasn't gone over well.
各位也不需要这么激动哈。
为什么不能激动？我们什么时候可以进去开会了？都死多少人了？
fire in the far south of the country ignited the firefighters' anger. A factory caught fire, then exploded in Pingdong County over the weekend. 4 firefighters are among the dead. Since the disaster, it's become increasingly clear there were missed opportunities to save lives. First responders got incomplete information about the flammable chemicals inside. Now it's emerged the factory wasn't even zoned for dangerous substances, leading to inspectors carrying out the wrong kind of safety checks. For some here, it's opened up old wounds from other factory fires.
我们分队，跟我同一个分队的3个学长死在里面。我们台湾的违法工厂、违章工厂这么多，还是每年在增加。那这些雇主有什么责任？他们没有。
They see a pattern of lax enforcement of safety rules, which firefighters sometimes pay for with their lives. The Interior Minister says this will change, with dispatchers getting reports on factory contents. But firefighters here aren't stepping down from their union demands. As noon approaches, there are rumors that a few firefighters will be allowed inside to sit down with officials. But as the sound of shouted slogans dies down, the group kneels with its banners in silent protest. Here in front of the cabinet building, there's a feeling of quiet indignity in the air. These firefighters are skeptical of the government's assurances, and they say a union is the only way to protect themselves and their comrades from more preventable deaths. John Su and John Van Trieste in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
3 of Taiwan's major online banks have reported tens of millions of dollars in losses. It turns out consumers here aren't as digitally savvy as expected. Next Bank, Rakuten, and Line Bank reported combined losses of over $210 million in 2021. Taiwan may be a high-tech hub, but consumers still largely rely on cash and physical banks. But there is hope. Analysts predict online banks will break even in the next 5 years.
那未来随着这个时间过去，它很多设备的摊提费用会逐渐的降下来。
Taiwan says the threats it faces today are the same threats the world will face tomorrow. The country's foreign minister spoke with international media on Thursday. Stash Butler was there.
Taiwan's Foreign Minister Joseph Wu wants to work more closely with countries in Southeast Asia to counter what he calls growing Chinese expansionism. China claims Taiwan as part of its territory, and Taiwan has recently detected a record number of Chinese warplanes operating around Taiwan. At the same time, China's Coast Guard and military vessels in the South China Sea, which China claims as part of its territory, have been clashing with the coast guards and fishing vessels of other countries, most notably the Philippines. Now, Joseph Wu, the foreign minister of Taiwan, sees those as part of one and the same issue, and he singles out the Philippines for praise in dealing with that issue. He says he wants to work more closely with the Philippines, but more broadly that countries in Southeast Asia should understand that the challenges facing Taiwan are the challenges that they will face in the future too. On election interference, a common theme there as well, Joseph Wu, the foreign minister, sees China as interfering in Taiwan's upcoming elections coming in January through cognitive warfare and fake news. Now, he thinks that kind of interference is not going to succeed, but nonetheless, he has a stark message for other countries in the region and around the world who are watching this democratic process, that if Chinese election interference can succeed in Taiwan, it can happen anywhere else in the world. Easton Chen and Stash Butler in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Talks between the US and China are improving, according to a spokesperson for the US State Department. Here's what he said.
We have seen an increase in the tempo of our conversations with the Chinese government across a number of fronts since the Secretary traveled to Beijing in June.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to Beijing earlier this year came at a time of high tensions between the US and China. The two countries disagree on several issues, including relations between China and Taiwan. Miller went on to say that there will be more meetings in the near future, and there is an opportunity for both countries to address shared concerns. A US Army soldier who fled to North Korea is on his way back to the US. Private Travis King was on a civilian tour when he crossed the demilitarized zone into North Korea in July. He'd been stationed in South Korea and was about to be returned to the US after serving 2 months in prison for assault. It's still not clear why Pyongyang has returned him or why he fled there in the first place. North Korea has enshrined the development of nuclear weapons in its constitution. The change was adopted unanimously by the country's rubber-stamped parliament, the Supreme People's Assembly. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un stressed the importance of speeding up production of nuclear weapons to deter what he calls U.S. provocations. Kim also visited Russia earlier this month, where he and Russian President Vladimir Putin pledged to boost military ties. This next story is for people with a sweet tooth. When you think of Taiwan, you probably don't think of French pastries. But a French chef living in Taipei has recently been recognized for excellence in French desserts. Leslie Liao paid him a visit.
Chocolate truffles with spicy peppercorns, and macaron with wasabi and grapefruit. Chef Cyril Courant has been making his creations in Taiwan for 13 years, taking inspiration from local ingredients.
Sometimes eating in a restaurant, sharing with some other friend, that's where I discover the macao pepper. And straight away when I smell it, I was thinking, well, that will go great with the chocolate.
He and his wife Sabine own 2 French pastry shops in Taipei. The pair have run their business for a decade now, but the chef's journey started much earlier than that.
And I got the passion from my dad working in his restaurant. And then I went to pastry. I learned about pastry and chocolate and ice cream.
Sabine, on the other hand, has a seasoned background in food service.
My parents actually were in the business with a restaurant, and then I always swear to myself, oh, I will never go in that business.
The pair moved to Taiwan after stints in France, Germany, London, and China.
We come to Taiwan with my wife already a few times before, and we really enjoy the people. It was very friendly, and the food, the culture, the tradition.
Their work includes redefining Taiwan's understanding of French desserts.
Everybody we ask, do you like macaron? Oh yeah, they're very cute. I said, no, I don't talking about the look, I'm talking about, do you like to eat them? And then the answer was always, oh no, they are too sweet. So I took that feedback to Cyril, and my husband said, that's the wrong idea of a macaron. A macaron don't have to be sweet.
Cyril's creative concoctions not only earned him recognition in Taiwan, but also worldwide. Earlier this month, he was inducted into Relais des Arts, a prestigious association of 100 elite chefs dedicated to preserving and advancing the art of French dessert internationally. Entry into Relais des Arts begins with a recommendation from a current member.
In 2019, one of the chefs visited me, and we had a talk, and I asked him about the process, and he really motivated me and supported me to send my application.
Acceptance into the organization is dependent on much more than a chef's creation. It considers the shop as a whole.
It's not only him, actually. I have to say it's as well service, because they check as well that the service fulfills certain criteria, okay? So I'm very proud to be in it as well.
Cyril and Sabine have achieved excellence doing something they love, an accomplishment not everyone can lay claim to. And their recognition as one of the world's premier dessert shops can only help elevate Taiwan's culinary standards. Patrick Sun and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
In sports, Taiwan's Sanda martial artist has added a bronze medal to the team's growing count at the Asian Games in Hangzhou, China. Zhang Huaiyi tied for 3rd place in the under 70 kilograms weight class. Sanda is also known as Chinese kickboxing. That's after he was defeated by 3-time Asian Games champion Mosa Mohamed Sefi from Iran. Meanwhile, in tennis, Taiwan's doubles pairs have been advancing, with 1 female duo and 1 male already through to the finals. Taiwan currently is tied for 10th place overall in the Games, with 2 gold, 3 silver, and 4 bronze medals. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you the images of St. Bernard puppies at a support dog training center in Switzerland. I'm Sandy Chi, take care and see you next time.